If you've clicked on this video, you're probably a fan of video games. But why do you like them? What's so captivating about them over more traditional forms of media? All that and more will be theorized in this video. So before we get into the big question, I first want to find out if there was a general demographic for gamers. I began with social preference. Out of generosity, I was provided a survey by fellow YouTuber Caleb J. Ross. Now while his survey was meant for a much narrower focus, his research still proved incredibly helpful. If you look at this pie chart, you can see that 35% of survey takers were extroverts, 51% were introverts, and 14% were neutral. The evidence doesn't end here though. Caleb also asked users which games they preferred, and only about half of the most common genres were favored by a specific group. Based on this data, we can see that someone's social preference does not reliably dictate whether they'll enjoy games. Side note, Caleb goes into a lot more detail in his own video, so if you're interested, check him out. Anyway, I then checked to see if gender had any say in the matter. According to Statista though, the numbers again were surprisingly even. Okay then, maybe age will give us a different result. Well, back on Statista again, it seems that the most common age group is between 18 and 30. That covers college students and young adults. Now while this is the closest we'll get to a demographic, it still isn't a very good one, since over 60% of video game players are not in this age range. So with that said, I reached a conclusion that there is no set demographic for gamers. Whether you look at age, gender, or social preference, the numbers indicate that all of us are pretty evenly split. Oh, and before some of you mentioned this in the comments, I'm not going into ethnicity because it's a whole different can of worms I don't want to open up, and I'm pretty sure it's not that impactful anyway. So now we've concluded that demographics aren't going to help us on our quest. With that out of the way, I was pretty sure I could make a simple survey, poll the general internet, and the results, for all intents and purposes, would be unbiased. And that's exactly what I did. I made a Google Forms and posted it to the video Games subreddit. Real quick, I'd like to shout out all of you for over 150 responses and for your huge support on the thread. Your answers really helped me out and I can't thank you enough. Now first, I asked people what the two most appealing things were in their favorite games. Based on marketing, I expected a lot of people to choose the graphics. However, only 19% of participants chose that answer. Besides the easy answer I provided, being gameplay and mechanics, just over 3/4 of people opted for a more compelling story over anything else. In case you're curious, 84% chose that answer as one of their two priorities, but yeah, it's a video game, so that really isn't very surprising. Really, now that I think about it, I kinda wanna know who doesn't care about that stuff. Visual novel players, maybe? Some less popular answers were also the replayability and/or community of a game. Now how these answers all connect to what I was talking about a few minutes ago, I'll get into a bit later. Anyway, throwing out the miscellaneous answers, we move on to our second question: what makes games replayable? Now obviously this question got literally dozens of answers, so I'll just highlight some of the most popular. One I found particularly interesting is the one to master the mechanics of one particular game. For example, if you bought Smash Bros solely for the story mode, you might be feeling some buyer's remorse, especially if you got it on the Wii U. The game gets its value from being able to pick up any character, practice with it offline, and then master it online. The same can be said with other online multiplayer games, whether it be kart racers, shooters, or battle royales. Another popular answer was experiencing alternate choices and endings in stories, or simply reliving a really good one. These are games like Paper Mario, Undertale, and, believe it or not, Pokemon, although one could argue it's also about mastery. The final answer was that the primary loop of the game is compelling in and of itself. This might be moving around and jumping as Mario, or selecting commands in Pokemon. It's that loop that hooks tons of people, especially when it comes to mobile games. But Kardino, you must be saying, why would you ever consider that being an option? It's a game, so of course people will enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay. Well, it actually isn't that black and white. I can almost guarantee you that most people don't play RPGs solely for their moment-to-moment gameplay, but rather because of the objectives which that gameplay fulfills, such as advancing the plot. So now with all this data, we can finally answer the question, why do we play video games? Now when I asked this in the survey, most people said that overall, the story was what mattered the most. Others said it was a form to escape reality, and still others said the replayability was what mattered most. So now I asked myself, what do all these things have in common? It took me a while to figure it out, but I think I have the answer. No matter what game you play, the reason you like the ones you do, whether it's through completing an RPG or winning an online match, is because it's a way to succeed or fail without consequence. Maybe it sounds cheesy, but I honestly think this is the best answer I could give. But in the end, that's just my conclusion. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really looking forward to having a great discussion with you guys. Also make sure to like this video and subscribe if you're feeling generous. This was a pretty different video than what I'm used to, so also make sure to let me know how I messed up, because nothing can be perfect on the internet. In the meantime, however, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video for something a bit less psychological.